So I hope you guys did your reading. Capitalism, Socialism, and Democracy by Joseph A. Schumpeter. So today we're going to discuss creative destruction and specifically how that's important to capitalism. So in his book, we see that capitalism is an evolutionary process. And within capitalism, it can never be, nor will it ever be, a stationary process. So when we discussed creative destruction, we see that this is a very essential part of Schumpeter's argument within how capitalism works. Does anyone know, or can anyone describe what creative destruction is?
Well, on page 83, you can see Schumpeter define it as the process in which incessantly revolutionizes the economic structure from within, incessantly destroying the old one, incessantly creating a new one.
Okay, that's really good. That is actually the exact quote from Schumpeter's book. Can anyone think of examples in their own words regarding this process?
Well, you can say how the development of the internet created email and made real mail decrease in prominence.
Yeah, that is true. Anyone else?
Maybe even how the car revolutionized transportation of the individual.
Yeah, and as a segue to that, does anyone know what Uber is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So recently I did an article regarding Uber and Amazon. And in that article, I basically looked at Uber as this new company within the gig economy on how essentially it's revolutionizing the taxi industry. And because of this, it can be seen as a creative destruction company. And what we know about that type of company is that it's called a creative monopoly. And what a creative monopoly is, as you saw in your reading last night, was that Schumpeter explained that these monopolies are very different from traditional ones. They aren't really bad monopolies. And I know you guys are very accustomed to being taught that monopolies are bad and that we should really try to destroy them and we should always try to maintain perfect competition. But I felt when I read this when I was younger, I felt that Schumpeter made a really good argument in regards to how monopolies work. And he made a really good, insightful commentary on how essentially that these type of monopolies actually provide more competition, even though those aren't really associated with monopolies in the past. So what I essentially deduced from Uber was that what it was doing was that it was forcing taxi companies to actually start competing, because the past taxi industry was very protectionist in the sense that you had to get a medallion. It was only certain people that can work in the taxi industry. But now we see that Uber, that makes the everyday person can become a taxi. There's lower rates for the people who, of course, order an Uber compared to taxis. And yeah, it's just an overall better system. There are some drawbacks, of course, because of the salary that Uber drivers actually make compared to their actual losses, but overall we see that this is a good benefit for the consumer, and at the end of the day that's what we as consumers want. So I hope you guys understood the reading last night. Does anyone have any more questions? If you do, my office hours are 4 to 5 tomorrow. They're every Tuesday, so you guys can always come. And yeah, please do the homework. It's Locke's second treatise of government, and then your P-set on economic models. I don't know what you guys do after class, so you guys can do whatever you want.